The crash. It was a quiet night in the small mountain town of Gray Pines. The air was cold. The sky was clear. Stars shined above like tiny diamonds. Inside a small wooden cabin near the forest, a man named Mark Carter sat by the fireplace. He was tired. His hands were dirty from fixing the roof all day. Next to him, his little daughter Lily, only 5 years old, was drawing with crayons on the floor. "Look, Daddy," Lily said with a big smile. "It's you, me, and Mommy and the stars." Mark's face froze for a second, then he smiled softly. "That's beautiful, sweetheart," he said, even though his eyes looked sad. Lily didn't know the truth. Her mother had died in a car accident 2 years ago. Mark never told her. He just said Mommy had gone to the stars. Suddenly, a bright flash lit up the sky outside. A strange light moved across the sky, fast, glowing blue like a shooting star, but bigger and getting closer. "Wow!" Lily gasped, her nose pressed to the window. "A star is falling." Mark stood up quickly. That wasn't a shooting star. It was something else. Moments later, there was a loud boom in the distance. The ground shook slightly. Birds flew out of the trees in fear. "What was that?" Lily asked. "Stay inside, lock the door. Daddy will be right back," Mark said, already pulling on his boots. Lily nodded but looked nervous. She hugged her teddy bear tight. Mark grabbed his flashlight and his old rifle. He stepped outside, following the smoke rising from the forest. He didn't believe in aliens or UFOs. He believed in keeping his daughter safe. As he walked deeper into the woods, he smelled something strange. Burnt metal and flowers. The trees were glowing slightly, like they had been touched by fire but weren't burning. He followed the trail until he reached a small clearing. His mouth fell open. A metallic pod, like something from a sci-fi movie, had crashed into the earth. Steam rose from its cracked surface. Strange symbols glowed on the side. Cautiously, Mark stepped closer. Suddenly, a weak voice spoke from inside. "Huh, man," it said, barely a whisper. Mark raised his rifle, eyes wide. The pod door creaked open with a hiss. Inside was a creature, a female alien. Her skin was soft gray with light blue veins glowing underneath. She was injured. One leg was crushed. Her breathing was shallow, but her eyes were full of pain and something else, desperation. She held out her trembling hand, pointing toward a small bundle next to her. "Save my baby, human, and I'll be yours forever." Then her hand dropped. Her eyes closed. Mark stared at her, then looked at the bundle. Wrapped in some kind of alien cloth was a tiny creature. Her baby. It looked fragile, glowing faintly. It made no sound, but its big eyes stared at Mark. For a moment, Mark didn't know what to do. This couldn't be real, but his heart was already making the decision. He reached in carefully and picked up the baby. It was warm. Light seemed to pulse from its chest. Suddenly, the trees around him began to shake. A strange buzzing sound filled the air like drones or machines approaching. Mark turned and ran. He didn't stop until he was back at the cabin. Lily opened the door before he could knock. "Daddy." "What is that?" she whispered, pointing to the glowing bundle in his arms. It's a baby. But not like us," Mark said, catching his breath. Lily walked closer, curious. The baby looked at her and let out a soft chirping sound. "She likes me," Lily smiled. Mark looked down at the baby, then out the window at the dark forest. The buzzing sound had faded, but something told him this wasn't over. He had just taken something important, and someone, or something, would be coming to take it back. The baby isn't normal. Mark hadn't slept all night. The alien baby, wrapped in a silver cloth, was now sleeping peacefully in a drawer padded with towels. He had pulled it out like a crib. Lily sat nearby, guarding it like a big sister guarding a secret treasure. "I named her Glowy," Lily whispered. "She shines when I smile." Mark didn't answer. He stared out the window, holding his coffee, hands shaking slightly. Something about this felt too calm, too quiet. When he had first carried the baby inside, the air around it had felt strange, warmer, like static before lightning. The baby had no nose or ears, just smooth silver skin, wide glowing eyes, and tiny fingers that looked like soft crystal. And when it touched Mark's hand earlier that night, a faint blue symbol had appeared on his palm, like a tattoo drawn in light. It pulsed softly, almost like it was alive. He had tried washing it, scrubbing it. It wouldn't go away. What had that alien mother done to him? Later that morning, Mark quietly left Lily playing and went outside to bury the alien pod debris he had collected from the crash site. But the forest was no longer normal. The trees nearby had changed. Their leaves glowed faintly, and the ground felt hollow, like walking on something alive. Then he heard it again, the buzzing, distant, but definitely coming closer. He ran back to the house. Fast. Inside, he found Lily sitting cross-legged in front of Glowy. The baby was floating, yes, floating, just 2 feet above the ground, spinning slowly in the air like a dream. Lily giggled and clapped. "Look, Daddy, she flies." Mark froze. His coffee cup dropped and shattered on the floor. As soon as the baby heard the sound, it stopped spinning and slowly floated back down, landing softly in Lily's lap. Mark dropped to one knee and looked closely. How is that even possible? The baby tilted its head and smiled. Then something even stranger happened. Mark felt a sudden heat in his head, like a voice whispering inside his brain. Not danger, but watch. They come. Mark jumped back. The baby wasn't talking with words. It was thinking inside. His mind. "Did you hear that?" he asked Lily. "Hear what?" He looked back at the baby. It was still smiling. That night, things got worse. Lily developed a high fever out of nowhere. She started coughing and shaking, her small body burning hot. Mark panicked. He rushed to get the truck keys, but when he stepped outside, the truck was gone. Just vanished. No tire marks. No sign of theft. Nothing. Then he saw it, on the hill behind the cabin. 2 black drones, floating silently, like spiders with wings, scanning the house with red lights. He ran back inside, locked all doors, and grabbed his rifle. "I'll protect you," he whispered to Lily, but Lily only groaned, eyes fluttering. Then Glowy floated up again. The alien baby hovered over Lily and placed her tiny, glowing hand on Lily's forehead. A sudden flash of light filled the room and everything went silent. Mark blinked. Lily had stopped shaking. The fever was gone. Her skin looked normal again. She opened her eyes and smiled. "I feel better, Daddy," but Glowy fell to the ground, weak and barely moving. Mark rushed forward. "What did you do?" The baby looked at him, eyes dull now, and then, without moving her mouth, she spoke inside his mind again. "I gave some of me to save her." Mark didn't know what to feel. Grateful? Terrified? He picked up the baby gently. She was colder now, her glow dim. He placed her back in the drawer crib. Lily pulled the blanket over her. "She's my sister now," Lily whispered. Mark didn't argue. Something in his heart told him that in a strange way it was true. Later that night, as Mark cleaned up the glass from the floor, the lights flickered. Then he heard it, a voice from the television. Static buzzed and a robotic voice spoke. "We know you have the child. You have 72 Earth hours to return her. If you hide her, Earth will burn. This is your only warning." The screen cracked and smoke came from the wires. Mark grabbed the remote and threw it aside. He looked down at his hand. The glowing symbol was brighter now. Not just one, 3 more had appeared on his arm, forming a pattern like a map. Something had begun. He walked to the crib and whispered, "Who are you?" The baby's eyes opened slowly and answered in his mind, "I am the key, and you are the door." The truth about the baby the next morning was quiet. Too quiet. No birds, no wind. Just a heavy silence sitting on Mark's cabin like fog. He didn't sleep. He just sat next to the crib, staring at Chloe. The baby still hadn't moved much after healing Lily. Her glow was weak, almost flickering. Mark kept checking her breathing. Soft, slow, steady. But she looked drained. Lily sat nearby, quietly drawing again. This time she was sketching the 3 new glowing symbols on Mark's arm. "They look like a treasure map," she said, cheerfully. "Like in pirate cartoons." Mark didn't respond. He was trying to figure out if he should feel like a pirate or a hostage. He needed help. Real help. There was only one person he could think of. Dr. Sarah Finch, an old friend, a scientist. Brilliant. And the only one Mark knew who wouldn't laugh him out of the room if he said the sentence, "Hey, I have an alien baby with psychic powers." It took 2 hours of secret backroad driving to reach her lab. It used to be a barn. Now, it was filled with machines, wires, and half-finished robots with googly eyes. Sarah opened the door with a tired scowl. "Mark, what are you doing here? And is that a baby in a cooling lunchbox?" He held up the improvised carrier. "Long story. It's not human." She blinked. "Okay. Still not the weirdest thing you brought me. Come in." Inside, the lab, Mark finally spilled everything. The crash, the alien mother, the baby, the drones, the fever, the telepathy, the glowing space tattoos, all of it. Sarah didn't laugh, not once. Instead, she slowly removed her glasses and stared at the sleeping baby. "Mark, do you know what you've brought me?" "I was hoping you would tell me that," he said. Sarah scanned Chloe with a custom sensor. The machine beeped, then hummed, then started smoking. "That's not good," Sarah whispered. She pulled up a chart. "This baby has 2 DNA strands. One is alien for sure, but the other, it's adapting. Rapidly. It's bonding to something." "To what?" Mark asked. Sarah looked at him. "To you, your cells, your brain waves. She's not just linking to you, she's imprinting on you." "Imprinting? She's becoming part of you." Mark sat down, heart racing. "Why? Why me?" Sarah's voice dropped. "Because you're human, and humans weren't supposed to exist." Mark laughed nervously. "You're kidding." But Sarah's face was pale. "I've seen files, government black sites, off-the-record transmissions. There were hints about alien contact going back decades, and always one theory kept popping up." She tapped on her monitor, bringing up ancient cave symbols, the theory that humans aren't from Earth. Mark blinked. "What? Not originally, at least? Or maybe we were from Earth, but got modified a long time ago, by a species called the Karenval. Genetic engineers, planet-seeding programs. They created hybrids and placed them across the galaxy to see what would survive. And we did? Better than they expected. So well, in fact, that we became dangerous. Too unpredictable. Too emotional. So they erased their tracks, left us behind. But now," she looked at Chloe, "now one of their royals has bonded with a human." The lights in the lab suddenly flickered. The monitor screens all turned black. A voice buzzed from the radio system, deep, metallic, and cold. "Dr. Sarah Finch, you have touched what does not belong to your kind. Surrender the air, or be cleansed." Then silence. Sarah stared at the radio. Did that voice say air? Mark stood up slowly. "What kind of air?" Sarah turned to him, pale as a ghost. "This baby isn't just alien, she's royalty. Maybe the only heir to a lost empire." Suddenly, Chloe's eyes snapped open. She floated up again, shaking, still weak, but alert. She looked at Mark and spoke in his mind, stronger now, clearer. "I am not safe. The Val want me back, not to protect me, to erase me." Mark's thoughts raced. "Why?" "Because I am both. Veil by birth, but human by bond. That makes me the beginning of something new. And they fear it. A sudden explosion rocked the lab. The ceiling cracked. A bright blue light shot down from the sky. They had found them. Drones crashed through the windows. Not 2, not 5, 12. Mark grabbed Chloe. Sarah yelled, "Go, I'll hold them off." Mark ran, Lily in one arm, Chloe in the other. Outside, the sky was burning blue. A cloaked alien ship hovered above the trees, barely visible. To the eye, the symbols on Mark's arm were glowing like fire. "What do I do now?" he asked the baby, breathless. She looked up at him. "You run, and then you learn what you really are." Humans versus aliens. Mark's boots hit the wet grass hard as he sprinted through the trees, the smell of ozone and burning plastic thick in the air. Behind him, the sky flashed blue, the alien ship's engines roaring overhead. Lily clung to his shoulder, holding tightly to her teddy bear. In Mark's other arm, the glowing alien baby, Chloe, trembled but stared upward with wide, alert eyes. "They come fast. They come angry," Chloe whispered in Mark's mind. "We must not be slow." "You don't say," Mark muttered. Diving behind a fallen log just as a plasma blast scorched the tree above them into ash. Up in the air, 12 drones zipped through the clouds, scanning the forest with blood-red beams. They weren't just looking, they were tracking. Not by heat, not by sight. They were following Chloe's mind. Mark's thoughts raced. He couldn't outrun a spaceship, couldn't outshoot plasma, couldn't let them take her. His wrist started burning again. The alien markings were changing, rearranging. "What are you doing to me?" he whispered, half panicked. "I'm helping you catch up," Chloe answered. And suddenly, Mark stopped breathing. Because in one blinding moment he saw everything. A flash of the alien homeworld. Giant towers made of crystal and cloud, armies of floating ships, creatures that walked like smoke. A throne room, empty, except a single chair surrounded by fire. A broken crown and a war council shouting about the hybrid, and then Earth. Orbiting Earth was not just one ship, but a fleet, cloaked, silent, watching. "You are not ready, human," a voice said in his vision, "but you are chosen." Mark gasped, falling to his knees. His mind was spinning. His blood felt like it was boiling. His body was changing, faster reflexes, clearer vision, sharper senses. He wasn't just running anymore. He was evolving. Behind him, the forest exploded. Sarah's lab detonated. A massive fireball lit up the sky. The drones turned, focusing on the source. That gave Mark time. He ran. 2 hours later, Mark, Lily, and Chloe found an old hunting shack deep in the woods. It had no power, no signal, but it had one thing: a trapdoor to an underground bunker. Mark had helped build it years ago, back when everyone thought the world would end with a virus or nukes. Funny how no one thought it'd end with aliens hunting a glowing baby from space. Inside the bunker, Mark collapsed. He laid Chloe down gently on a padded blanket. Lily curled up next to her, already half asleep. Mark's hands were shaking. "What do I do?" he whispered into the darkness. "Train," said a voice. Not Chloe, not Lily. Another one. Out of the shadows stepped a man, tall, pale, wearing a jacket that shimmered like oil in moonlight. Eyes like steel. A faint scar across his face. "I'm Riven," he said, in a voice like gravel and regret. "I'm not fully human anymore either." Riven explained everything. He was part of an ancient human experiment, the first time aliens tried to blend species. It worked. Sort of. He was stronger, smarter, but unstable. They tried to erase him. He escaped, went into hiding, watching, waiting for the next hybrid. Then she landed, Riven said, nodding to Chloe. And now they'll never stop. Riven trained Mark, not for months, not for years, but for one very intense day: weapons, hand-to-hand combat, mind shields, alien codes. He gave Mark a crash course in how to survive against an enemy that didn't bleed, didn't sleep, and didn't forgive. Meanwhile, Chloe was healing. Slowly. Her glow brightened a little. She began to speak more clearly in Mark's mind. "I'm not just the heir," she said one night. "I am the final vote." "What do you mean?" Mark asked. "In my people's law, no war can begin until the heir decides, and I have not chosen yet, but someone else had." That night, a broadcast interrupted every screen on Earth. TVs, phones, even billboards. An alien appeared. Huge, wearing armor made of bone and flame. "People of Earth," he said in perfect English, "you hide what is ours. You protect the corruption. In 3 days we arrive, and we do not come in peace." Panic spread worldwide. Governments scrambled. Military units vanished trying to investigate the forest. And Mark knew. War was coming, but he wasn't running anymore. He looked at Chloe, he looked at Lily, then at the stars. "I'm not just fighting for her," he said. "I'm fighting for us all." The alien inside me. The days leading up to invasion didn't feel like days anymore. Time was bending, thoughts were stretching, and Mark was changing. It started with dreams. Strange ones. He wasn't himself in the dreams. He was someone else. Something else. He floated through alien cities made of starlight and sound. He flew across moons with no gravity. He stood in councils where beings without faces whispered truths in colors, not words. Each morning he woke, up knowing things he shouldn't. How to write in alien symbols. How to move without making sound. How to sense danger before it arrived. Riven noticed it too. "You're sinking," he said, tossing Mark a knife with a curved handle. Mind to memory, body to past. Mark gripped the blade instinctively, flipping it once before catching it perfectly. "I've never held a knife like this before," he said. "You have now," Riven replied. "You just don't remember yet." Chloe was healing faster now. Her eyes were brighter. Her thoughts were clearer. Her voice in Mark's mind was sharper, no longer a whisper but a presence. "You are more than a protector now," she told him. "You are becoming part of the old line." "What line?" he asked. "The line of the ones who stood between peace and destruction. You were made for this. You were always meant to find me." Mark didn't know whether to feel honored or cursed, but the real shock didn't come from Mark's powers. It came from Lily. It happened one afternoon. Lily was playing with Chloe, tracing her finger through the air, giggling as Chloe used her mind to make small objects float. Then Chloe did something new. She made a ball of light hover between them. It pulsed gently like a heart. "Your turn," Chloe said to Lily. Mark watched from the doorway, curious. Lily reached out, confused, but when she touched the ball, it exploded into hundreds of tiny lights, and all of them flew into her chest. Lily's eyes flashed white. She stood frozen, silent. Then her voice dropped into something ancient. "I hear them, the sleeping stars, the broken throne. I remember the fall." Mark rushed to her, holding her shoulders. "Lily?" Her eyes returned to normal. She blinked and smiled. "Hi, Daddy. Did you see that magic trick?" But Mark didn't smile. He turned to Chloe. "What did you just do to her?" Chloe floated down, looking nervous, almost afraid. "I did nothing. She already had the memory seed inside. I just woke it up." Mark felt the world tilt under him. Lily wasn't just his daughter anymore. She was part of this. Connected. "She's one of you?" he asked. Chloe shook her head. "No, she's not one of us. She's something older, something they tried to destroy and failed." Mark felt cold. He remembered his wife, Lily's mother. She had died in an accident. At least that's what they told him. But now memories were surfacing. How she always felt watched during pregnancy. How she once said, "Sometimes I feel like I'm carrying a star inside me." Mark had laughed at the time. Now he wasn't laughing. Was Lily engineered? Had the aliens planned this before Glowy even arrived? Later that night, Riven found Mark sitting by the fire. "You look like someone who just realized he brought a slingshot to a black hole fight," Riven joked. Mark didn't smile. "They've had their eye on my daughter before Glowy even came, haven't they?" Riven nodded slowly. "She's what the old ones call a spark child, a rare human born with dormant alien coding. They're not born often, but when they wake up, they're nuclear." Mark looked toward Lily, who was now calmly sketching stars on the bunker wall. "What will happen to her?" "If the Vol get her," Riven said, "she'll be erased, just like the last one." Mark's grip tightened on his blade. "Then I'll erase them first." But it wasn't just Mark who was preparing for war. Above Earth, the vile mothership uncloaked. The sky, over several countries, shimmered blue. Satellites short-circuited. Communications failed. People panicked. And in the shadows of Earth's orbit, a counterforce arrived. Another alien faction. The Ka-Rin Exiles. Ancient enemies of the Val. They weren't here to save Earth. They were here for Glowy. Whoever controlled the air controlled the future. Back in the bunker, Glowy reached for Mark's hand. "You must choose soon. Run or rise. If you run, Earth may live for a while longer. If you rise, we might survive, or we might all burn." Mark looked at Lily, then at his own arm, where now 5 alien symbols glowed like stars. "I'm not running," he said. He turned to Riven. "Let's build an army. Into the enemy's den 3 days until the invasion." Mark had stopped sleeping. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw stars dying, ships burning, children screaming in alien languages he somehow understood. The bunker was no longer safe. Too many signals. Too many eyes in the sky. So they moved. Again. Riven had an idea. A dangerous, almost suicidal one. But then again, most good plans usually start that way. "We're going in, Mark," he said. "Into what?" Mark asked. "The fail mothership," Mark blinked. "You mean the one above Earth filled with death robots and ancient warlords who eat people for breakfast?" "Yep," Riven said. "That one." The goal wasn't just survival anymore, it was rescue. Glowy had sensed something 2 nights ago, a faint cry, a psychic echo, the alien mother barely alive, trapped somewhere aboard the Veil ship. Held in a mind prison, tortured for secrets, her memories pulled apart like old fabric. "They want her voice," Glowy explained. "Only she can unlock my full power. Only she can complete the bond." Mark asked the obvious question. "And what happens when the bond is complete?" "Everything changes." "Great." Cryptic alien answer, Laris 172. But Mark couldn't leave her behind. Not the one who gave him this mission. Not the one who had begged him, "Save my baby, human." The infiltration started on the edge of the Pacific Ocean. There, hidden, beneath an abandoned offshore oil platform, was a buried alien vessel, long since dormant. Riven had kept it secret for 12 years. It looked like a whale made of chrome and thunder. "She's old school," Riven said, patting the hull. "But she hates the Veil even more than I do." Inside the ship, Glowy interfaced with the controls instantly. Her eyes glowed like tiny galaxies. "Welcome, Queen Fragment," the ship's AI said in a smooth, feminine tone. "Bloodline confirmed." Mark raised an eyebrow. "Queen Fragment?" Glowy said nothing. The ship rose, breaking the water silently, and cloaked itself before entering low orbit. They pierced the edge of the Val ship's perimeter within minutes. The Val mothership looked like a moon had swallowed a cathedral, massive, ancient, with spires that hummed with black energy. Mark's human brain screamed, "You don't belong here." His other brain, the part that had been waking up, whispered, "You've been here before." They entered through a dead communication array, silent, forgotten, and inside, silence. Cold metallic hallways, lights pulsing like a heartbeat. The walls whispered in a dead alien tongue. Lily stayed behind on their ship with the AI and a plasma shield, but before they left, she held Chloe's hand and whispered something in her ear. Chloe smiled. She said, "Don't let the bad aliens take Daddy. I just got him fixed." Inside the Val ship, things went from creepy to nightmare. They weren't alone. The ship was alive. The walls moved, shifted, watched, and then came the Guardians, sentinel shades, alien constructs made of metal, bone, and nightmares. Riven took 2 down with bladed fists. Mark used a pulse rifle. Chloe? She blinked, literally, and reappeared behind them, whispering a word that shattered their circuits. Finally, they reached the mind vault. A chamber surrounded by liquid memory, silver fog floating mid-air, full of emotions, echoes, regrets, and at the center, the alien mother suspended in a beam of light, barely breathing, wires stabbed into her skull. Mark stepped forward. "She's dying," Riven said. "They've been draining her to decode her bloodline map." Chloe floated toward her. She closed her eyes. "I can restore her," Chloe said, "but only if I finish the bond. And if I do, I stop being a child." "What does that mean?" Mark asked. "It means I remember what I was born to be." Before Mark could speak, the room trembled. A Val warlord entered, 10 feet tall, horned, armor made of a living metal that screamed as it moved. "Thief," the Veil hissed, staring at Mark. "You were supposed to be a tool, not a threat." Mark raised his weapon. "And you were supposed to stay in your black hole dungeon. Oops." The Veil laughed, then lunged. What followed was chaos. Riven fought the warlord hand to hand, blades clashing, sparks flying. Mark shot anything that moved. Chloe floated to her mother, whispering in light. And then, the final bond completed. The alien mother gasped, eyes opening wide, glowing like twin stars. Chloe's body exploded with light. She grew, not taller, not older, but more. She wasn't a baby anymore. She wasn't even just alien. She was balance. She raised one hand and whispered a word older than time. The Veil warlord froze mid-attack, turned to ash. Gone. The ship screamed. Alarms blared. Sirens howled. They had minutes before the core melted. Down. The group ran, carrying the weak alien mother. Riven nearly died taking down a final shade, but they escaped just in time. Back on their ship as they sped toward Earth, Chloe stood in silence, her new form barely containing her power. Mark looked at her. "Are you still my Chloe?" She smiled faintly. "I am who I was meant to be. But you're not done changing yet." And in Earth's skies, the war officially began. Ships descended. Cities screamed. But Earth had something new now. A family of fighters and one little girl drawing stars, who might just be the most dangerous secret of all. The last stand for Family Earth was no longer blue. From orbit, it looked wounded. Ships cut across the sky like black lightning. Fires danced across continents. Cities flickered under temporary shields that wouldn't hold. The Val had arrived in full force, and humanity was hopelessly outgunned. In a hidden base deep under the Rocky Mountains, Earth's leaders gathered, military, science, even the president, all speaking over one another in panic. "We can't reach Beijing. They just turned off gravity in Brazil. The moon base has gone dark. Where is the damn alien child?" Right then, the wall monitor blinked, and there she was. Chloe, older now, taller, glowing like a star in human form. She looked into the camera, calm and terrifyingly peaceful. "My name is Avia Karen. I am not your enemy, but I am your last chance." Meanwhile, Mark stood alone on a rooftop in Chicago, what was left of it. He stared at the sky. He could feel her, not just Chloe, but Lily, and her. The alien mother now awake and hidden underground, stabilizing her power. He could feel something else too. Something inside him. Mark's body had changed, faster, stronger, smarter, but it was more than biology. He was now a living key, bonded to Glowy's will, connected to the Veil neural field like a Trojan horse. And the symbols on his arm? They weren't just marks. They were coordinates. Together, they pointed to something buried deep inside Earth's crust, an ancient power core, a heartstone, the Val's real target. They didn't come to destroy Earth. They came to ignite it, turn it into a living energy source, burn the planet to fuel their dying empire, and use Glowy to unlock it. But she chose Mark instead, and that changed the rules. The final plan was simple. Mark, Riven, and Glowy would lead a strike team into the Heartstone Chamber beneath Iceland, a volcanic gateway where the ancient builders hid the core long ago. If they reached it first, they could override it. If they failed, Earth would become a torch in space. The mission began. Their ship dropped silently into the fissure. Mark held Lily tight one last time. "Don't be scared," he told her. "I'm not," she said, "because I saw how it ends." Mark blinked. "You saw it?" Lily nodded. "I saw who you become, and who I become." Mark hesitated. "Who?" She leaned in and whispered one word in his ear. "Queen." Then she smiled like it was the most normal thing in the world. Inside the fissure, the temperature rose. Lava surged below. They reached a chamber filled with alien machinery, grown into the rock itself. At its center, the Heartstone, pulsing, alive. The Val were already there, dozens of them. Drones, generals. One final warlord, the Void Father, the one who had sent the message across Earth. He stood twice as tall as Mark, his body made of swirling matter and time. "You brought her here," the Void Father hissed. Mark stepped forward. "No, she brought me." Glowy hovered above the stone. "This ends now," she said. "Agreed," the Void Father snarled and struck. The final battle began. Riven took on 5 warriors at once. Glowy unleashed pure energy. Light formed into weapons. Thoughts turned to shields. Mark, burning with connection to the Heartstone, moved like a soldier possessed. But it wasn't enough. The Void Father reached the core, started to bind it with his will. Mark lunged, grabbing him mid-ritual, wrestling him into the lava itself. They fell, both screaming. Everything went white. Time paused. Mark stood in a dreamscape, floating between atoms and memories. And there was her, Lily. But older, a woman now, wearing robes of light, her eyes glowing like her sister's. "Dad," she said, "you have to let go." "I can't," Mark said. "If I die, you'll be alone." She smiled. "You're not dying. You're just finishing the story." Mark opened his eyes, alive, whole. Floating above the Heartstone, the Void Father was gone, disintegrated in the light. Glowy hovered beside him, her energy spent. "You did it," she whispered. "No," he said. "We did." They returned to the surface. Earth's skies cleared. The Val fleet began to vanish, imploding, retreating, or simply blinking out of existence. Across the world, people looked up and saw stars again, and on a mountaintop, Lily stood, watching it all, holding her teddy bear in one hand and drawing new stars in the dirt with the other. Epilogue 1 year later. Earth rebuilt, slowly, smarter, together. Alien tech was reverse-engineered. Disease was cured. Energy was free. And in a quiet cabin near Grey Pines, Mark sat on a porch swing sipping coffee. Lily came out wearing a jacket with strange runes sewn in. "Dad?" she asked. "Glowy's ready." He stood. "For what?" She smiled. "To crown her queen." Above them, a silver ship shimmered, ready to leave. And with it, the girl who once cried out in a forest, "Save my baby, human, and I'll be yours forever." Mark smiled. "You already were."